I'm Leo Olebe. It's great to, if I haven't met you before, it's great to meet you. If I have met you before, it's great to see you. I'm the Vice President of Global Partnerships here at Xbox, and really, really excited to be coming and speaking with you all at GDC. And Chris, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, say hello.
Hey, I'm Chris Charla. I'm the General Manager for Content and Dev Readiness at Xbox. So yeah, Leo and I work really close together on stuff.
On all the things, right? Yeah, which is going to be exciting. So we're excited to walk everybody through a presentation today. We think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be amazing. But you know, if we want to jump to the next slide, that'll be cool. Can take you a little bit of a historical tour here and show you lots of. Ooh, there's the drink. Probably should hide this. About Xbox, but it's called A Billion Open Doors. And the reason why we're calling this A Billion Open Doors is because hopefully, as many people have seen, we've had this ad campaign out there called This is an Xbox, and we're really talking about every single screen being an Xbox and giving people the opportunity to play the games that they want with the people that they want anywhere that they want. And I'm going to repeat that again on the next slide, but the idea is that we all love to play games, and we all love to play games with people. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite games a little bit later, but this is about making sure that we can achieve our mission, jump to the next slide, of bringing the joy and community of gaming to every single person on the planet. So when we think about the opportunity that games represents, it's much more exciting when maybe I'm going around and I can maybe play a game on my phone, I can play a game on my console, I can play a game on my PC, really play games all over the place. And if we do a good job of doing that, of giving people the opportunity, as it says in the slide, to play the games that you want with the people that you want, anywhere that you want, then we're really doing it right. And we started this off this year by launching an advertising campaign that you can see here up on the screen. And this was the ad campaign where we were in buses, we were on buses, we were in trains, subway stations, televisions, we were on buildings. One of my favorite parts of this ad over here is where it says, this is a cat box. But it's something really fun that you can kind of play around with, but really communicates the idea that everything has the opportunity to be an Xbox, and we really just want to make your games and, again, your communities accessible to everyone. Why don't we take a look at the ad if nobody has seen it just yet?
This for that, this for that, this for that, this for that. Who's the black sheep? What's the black sheep? Now know who I am or when I'm coming, so you sleep. Well, you heard the others, only still the lovers. Then of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. I think we're good with this, for this is where it's at. Where it's at. Come on. This for that, this for that, this for that.
Hey, exciting. See, I told you it would be the most jumping presentation that you've seen at all of GDC. I did everything I possibly could not to start dancing, but I may have done it just a little bit. I don't know if anybody noticed, but that's okay. But I think like this is an awesome place for us to be. It's an awesome vision for us to try and uphold. But we really, for the fun of GDC, we wanted to walk everybody through how we got here today, and make you have an opportunity to have you think about. You know, it's not just you show up one day and say every single screen is going to be an Xbox, but it's a journey. And it takes time to build these things, and we kind of wanted to walk you through a vision. So Chris is going to come up here and share, but we wanted to start with this quote here, which is, you can't really know where you are, where you're going, until you know where you've been, from Maya Angelou. So that was just kind of an inspiration for us to have some fun with everybody in the audience today and give you some insights as to what our vision was as we've been on this journey together through Xbox history. Chris.
Cool. Thanks, Leo. And I just want to give a shout out to my laptop that just played a video successfully after. This thing is really old. It's pre-pandemic, and it spent the first day of this week getting kicked down some stairs accidentally. So thanks, buddy. But as Leo mentioned, you know, the vision that we outlined in every screen is an Xbox. It's a fantastic consumer vision, but it's also truly a developer vision too. As we think about reaching players all over the globe, it can't just be through console. Console is fantastic. It is awesome. It is the beating heart of where we are. But there are so many different places to play today, and players play those places. And doing the work that we can do on this is what. We don't get to make the ads, we just watch them and clap. But the work that we get to do to make it so that you can make your game show up on all those surfaces and show up on all those screens and get sold to people who, for whatever reason, maybe for socioeconomic reasons, might not be able to afford a console or other reasons. We think we know it is a place where you can get truly like additive users in your games, which to me is great for two reasons, right? Because on the one hand, it's more people playing your game, and that's just good. On the other hand, it's probably more people buying your game, and that's sweet too. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back to the beginning. First Xbox launch. So the first Xbox launch was a really bold thing, and Leo and I were talking about this, and we kind of want to step through some things that Xbox has done, kind of pairing technical innovation with some fun pop culture innovation too. So we launched the OG Xbox November 15th, 2001, but we announced it a little bit before that with The Rock.
Never cease to amaze The Rock. You're right again. Today isn't about you, it's about the new Xbox. And quite frankly, I couldn't be more excited. The Xbox is everything The Rock is. Cutting edge, powerful, exhilarating, and like The Rock, it will be the most electrifying thing coming out this year. And what The Rock...
So good. I was
it's
there.
It's like he's describing you, Christian.
Yeah. I was a journalist back then. I was in the audience. It was just hilarious. It was kind of fun. And then we got to go backstage and see the big Metal X prototype, which is now in Chloe Gusty's office.
Amazing. Amazing.
Never cease to amaze The Rock.
So we'll skip that. And but we said games would never be the same, and really they weren't. And the simple reason for that is that Xbox was the first console to introduce a hard drive. Now, when we put the hard drive in the console, obviously we knew games came on hard drives on PC, but nobody really knew what people were going to do with a console game or console with a hard drive. We had some ideas, and some people thought they wouldn't do anything. Some people thought it was a waste of money because it was pretty expensive to include. But the original innovators and original pioneers of Xbox had a belief that if we put a hard drive in the console, like cool things would happen. And I think we can all agree today, 20-some years later, cool things happened. And it is hard to imagine any console device or any gaming device that doesn't have mass storage, SSD, hard drive, whatever. And so it was a really good example of a place where we made a bet, it was bold, and it really paid off. Not all bets pay off. Risks are risks. But this one did, and I think it's hard to imagine a world today of games without hard drives. We wouldn't have digital distribution, we wouldn't have DLC, we wouldn't have so much of all the exciting things that make technology or in video games what they are today. Our other big innovation back in the day was Xbox Live. I meant to bring it, and I spaced it in the morning when I was leaving for GDC. I have the original Xbox Live, which ironically shipped on a CD. It had Pac-Man on the cover, and you would put it in your Xbox, and it would add this multiplayer functionality and this social network functionality to your console. And again, these are things that are now, it's impossible to imagine gaming without, whether it's Discord or whether it's Live or whether it's the social networks on other platforms. And what's cool about Live, and I think this kind of speaks to a lot of the way Microsoft deals with technology, is it wasn't anything completely new, right? What was new was achievements in Gamerscore. But the idea of having a multiplayer game, there were plenty of services, M-Player and others that let you do multiplayer back in the day. You could roll your own multiplayer. You could build your own identity. It was all doable, but it was all kind of a pain. It was a slog. It would happen for the biggest games, but it didn't happen for every game. With Microsoft introducing Live and making it, I won't say easy, but straightforward for developers to implement, suddenly they got access to all these things that previously were a lot of work. And I won't list them again, but all the stuff Live does for us today. And that really enabled games to do more. And that enabled our players to be more happy. They still had feedback, sometimes about the size of the controller, and we addressed that with a beautiful pop culture moment. This is from a Japanese ad that introduced the S-type controller, which I believe was the first time we used that moniker, along with a hamburger. It was cool.
Because sandwiches and controllers go together.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So we worked
We
through
don't
that
really
first
know.
generation to up our pop culture game, and I think this is still one of my favorite ads we've ever done. Well, we'll see if other people agree.
Where's that tiger? Where's that tiger? Here's that tiger. Where's that tiger?
I love that ad so much. I just really feel like it captures it captures just what's great about multiplayer gaming. You know, for folks in this room, probably of a certain age, it does bring you back to that time when you're a kid and you're playing with your friends, and just shows like what's so great about multiplayer. And that was really one of the things that 360 really, really focused on. So we had this awesome launch event in the desert. It was before my time. I spent that night in the freezing rain in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, waiting outside of Best Buy with the day the Xbox 360 shipped, desperate to get my hands on one. And it was, I remember the day because it's written on this slide. It was November 22nd, 2005. I woke up in the middle of the night. That was like 2005 was like the peak of like the Black Friday era when people would like go wait in lines places to, you know, save money on things. So I woke up in the middle of the night. I booked over. I was at grandma's house. I booked over to the Best Buy. Freezing rain. I could see people lined up, and I was like, oh, I ran up to the line, parked my car, ran up there, still my T-shirt, and was like, hey, is this the line for the Xbox? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, how many they got? And they're like, they have 50. I'm like, oh, do you know what number am I? And they're like, you're 50. I'm like, all right, can you say my spot while I go get my jacket? And then, you know, somebody's behind me in line now, and they're like, no, dude, you're out of line, you know, and so I was like, great.
Freezing.
So I stood there in the pouring rain, freezing rain for like 3 hours till they handed out cards. Finally got home, or got back to my mother-in-law's house, you know, hypothermic, you know, probably first stages of pneumonia, plugged it in, and I had bought a game, and I'm not going to say the game for a reason. So I got the system. In fact, I got the one with the hard drive, which I really, really wanted. I got a game too. I got back to grandma's, plugged it in with like composite cables to like this giant wooden console 4x3 tube TV. Started playing the game, and you know I do know a couple things about video games, and I'm like, this is the worst PS2 port I've ever seen in my entire life. This is like not even as good as the PS2 version. I have been hosed by a launch title. It happens, or it happened in that era, and so then, you know, my wife's looking at me like, huh, nice, that was worth hypothermia, and I was like, it does more, and so I got on the Wi-Fi, you know, logged into, I think logged into Xbox Live, first out-of-box experience for 360, and then I downloaded some XBLA games. And that moment when I first downloaded games, and this was really, you could download Xbox Live Arcade games on the OG Xbox, but Xbox 360 was where it shipped at the beginning. It didn't require anything extra. That moment when I downloaded like Joust, Robotron Defender, which my old company had worked on, and a couple others, it was like magic, because we went from being bored by a PS2 game, no shade on PS2, to like delighted by these older vintage arcade games, and just the idea that we could just download games. And to me, that was like one of the best innovations of the 360. And I really felt, despite like the wonderful graphics and everything like that it had for the time, just the ability to download games like was super magical. And I think it turns out, I look in this room and I bet everybody in here is working on a game that gets downloaded. I'm guessing. It's just a really great thing. And it was another place where Microsoft had an inkling, innovated, and it really paid off. Fast forward to the Xbox One, next generation, had a Kinect in it, and had, like I said, it had some inklings about things that people were going to want to do while they were gaming. So let's check out an ad that sort of sums some of those things up.
After the role of a lifetime, I've been busy. Xbox on, so I look forward to my downtime. Xbox, go to Titanfall. This is insane. Check this out. Xbox Snap TV. That does two things at once, so I can play games while I watch my favorite shows at the same time. Whoa, Xbox, record that. I just wish I had more time to play. Yo.
Xbox One, now starting at $399.
So that was the Xbox One generation. You could see that we were understanding where things were going. People like to do multiple things at once. And we took a stab at one way to look at it with the docking and things like that. Not every bet pays off. Although I do today, still to this day, think that some of those things were really cool. Playing threes docked was neat. But then we decided to do a little bit more pop culture and integrate it with innovation. And that was Game Pass. This was, I think, our launch campaign for Game Pass. And Game Pass was something that was one of the riskiest things, in some ways that we ever did, or some people thought so. We had done a lot of math on our side. We felt pretty confident about it. But it's turned out to be something that's been really transformational for a whole generation of players and a whole generation of developers. A great way for players to find their next favorite game, a great way for developers to find their audience. It's been a tremendously successful program to this day, and something that we invest a huge amount in every year. And it's been sweet. And it really, in a lot of ways, came to define the next generation of Xbox.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, fulfill all your wishes. But now let's have a surprise. Let's have a dream which isn't under control. And then you would get more and more adventurous. And you would make further and further out gambles as to what you would dream. And finally, you would dream where you are now.
That was a cool ad. I still remember that the Game Awards where they dropped that, because I was like home watching on TV, and it's like, wow, Phil and Sarah are both there, and like that's all I thought. And next thing you know, so of course that brings us to the present day with the series, and the series has been just a I can't say enough about just how amazing this console has been in this console generation, just in terms of enabling creativity, seeing so many things that Microsoft worked on building for so many years, and seeing all the incredible progression of developers across the entire world come together in a generation which, to my way of thinking, this is the best generation ever for video games. Like, I know we all have our nostalgic favorites, SNES or whatever, but I think in 100 years, when they're talking about the history of video games, they're going to call out this generation as one of the most powerful ever. And we haven't slowed down on the pop culture references or being equally amused when folks notice that our console looks a little bit like a refrigerator.
So we gave Snoop a refrigerator.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's what you do.
I've seen a couple of these around the office. I know we sold the coolers at at Target and stuff, but I have seen in the Microsoft offices some legitimate refrigerators. And pace of design, I think, recognizing for players that design isn't just about silicon design. Design is about how a system makes you feel. One of my favorite things has been just the growth of the design labs and the ability for players to just make something that they like. I also like that that's like the Oakland A's colors, or the A's colors. But just and so I think that's been just a really important part of the journey on Xbox. And now, as we get into this generation really deeply, we're always thinking of where we're going to innovate next, how we can innovate both making life better for players, but making life better for developers as well, like giving you an opportunity to reach more fans, more players, achieve more sales, and create a more sustainable environment for yourself and your studios, while also making sure that what our players get is more games, more ways to enjoy them, and a really I come from a skateboard community, and there's a term in the skateboard community called buttery, which means smooth. And we just want to make Xbox as buttery an experience for our players as possible. And so I will turn it back over to Leo to talk a little bit more about that.
Awesome, thank you. I mean, it's when you start to put all of that stuff together, you can see that overall we're really building towards something, and I think it's something that's pretty exciting. But when we look at it, just gotta arrange my stuff here. We can actually see that I think we very much believe in the idea of opportunity, and that there's actually opportunities all around us. So we've seen the growth of PC gaming over the last couple of years. Like that's absolutely exciting. There are so many new ways to play games that are entering the market, whether it's a handheld or whether you're streaming to multiple screens. And if we pause there for a second and you think about what Chris just showed you with Xbox Design Labs, and how personal your experience is with that controller. I also have saved every single one of my original Xbox, my 360, my Xbox One, my Series X. They're all there. It's something that I really, really love and is part of my gaming experience, and that really extends to the controller. So when we think about making every single screen in Xbox, being able to have that controller that you can literally take with you anywhere. I have one in my bag and travel with it, is a really, really powerful experience. And then, of course, there are many, many great games. So I'm playing a ton of games. I think everybody in this room is playing a ton of games as well. I also have a very long list of great games that I'm really looking forward to playing. We could probably talk about that for hours and hours and hours. And imagine that if there was the largest gathering of game developers or developers overall in the world to spend all of their time talking about video games. That would be awesome. Oh, wait, there is. We're here. Yay. Pretty exciting, right? And then, of course, there's the opportunity of AI. When you think about AI, everybody has probably a different idea of what could be awesome, what it could be useful for, what do we find challenging, et cetera. But when there's new technology that's introduced and every single person in this room can take your creativity, your ideas, the things that you're passionate about, and experiment, I can't wait to figure out what y'all are going to do with it and do some incredible things. We have our own ideas and things that we've announced and talked about. I know there was an AI summit earlier this week, but it's just an exciting way to learn about new technology and see what's happening. And then, of course, I mentioned streaming earlier, and we're going to talk about cloud, I think, in a couple of slides. But with streaming, we're able to put gaming on devices that maybe we didn't even think possible before. So I kind of feel like we're moving towards this space where it's just about the game, and it's not necessarily about, am I playing it here, am I playing it there, or where am I playing it, but just the fact that I can play, again, tying back into our mission, I can play the games that I want with the people that I want, anywhere that I want. To that end, we actually have done some research and have some insight about what we're calling the multi-device games as well, and the fact that multi-device gamers are the players of the future. And so what you're seeing here on the chart, and I really point you to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, where over 50% of each one of those generations are engaging playing games across multiple devices. And that's not only because these games are awesome and they're being built to support multi-device gameplay, but it's because if you think about Generation Alpha, they've grown up in a world where their content comes with them all of the time. When we think about where we're going to watch something on Netflix or YouTube, it's more about, can I just open the app and watch my thing? And it's part of the inherent experience of having this idea of transferable content that comes with you. Hopefully you don't spend a lot of time or waste a lot of time worrying about, is this on the TV screen in my hotel room? Is this on my phone? Is this on my console? Is this on my tablet? Is this on my PC? Or whatever. You're like, okay, I'm just going to watch this thing. And that's really how people are interacting and engaging with content today. And that extends to gameplay, where younger generations are embracing multi-platform play. And we want to make sure that your games can be played on any device so that players can just start playing in one place and then bring that to another one. Again, thinking about the opportunity of every screen is an Xbox. And it does use the word future on this slide. But I would actually propose that this experience is something that you can do right now. And so in a little bit, we'll talk about XPA, and we'll talk about streaming and cloud and some of those things that are happening. But this is the example that I'm about to walk you through is my own personal experience, and it's mostly centered around cloud. We've also announced XPA, which is playing games cross-progression between PC and console. But in this example, I love Diablo 4. Are there any other Diablo fans in the audience? Yes? Okay, cool. This is going to be fun. I might geek out a little bit too much, and if so, Chris will rein me back in a little bit. But I play a lot of Diablo. I'm actually a Bone Spear Necromancer. For those of you who are familiar, my Paragon level as of this weekend was 226. So I really, really enjoy playing. This is actually a picture of my Series X, my console. We call it Vader Box. My kids call me Vader. Worked on a Star Wars game a long time ago, and so I respond to Leo and Vader in the same way. But the console's name is Vader Box. But when I want to have that lean back, big screen experience, I'm playing with my friends, I'm playing on my Xbox, enjoying things on my television, I'm jamming on and having a really, really good time. But, and that's a picture of a PC. It is not my personal PC, although I would love for it to be. When I want to min-max all my Paragon points, and I'm looking at my boards and I'm trying to optimize a new phase of my build, or I'm like, okay, I've just unlocked a couple of Resplendent Sparks. What is the exact, unique item that I want to use inside of my gameplay? I'm going to be on my PC because I literally will have a website open and my board's open, and I'm trying to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect because we all want maximum DPS, right? Right? And we have to manage our health, and then we have to think about a lot of things while we're playing this game. I just love my Diablo fans. I could talk about it for forever. But, so I've finished min-maxing on my PC, and then I go back there, and now I'm on my handheld. And I'm playing the game on my handheld while I'm watching TV. My wife thinks it's the most annoying thing in the world because I have the TV on in the background, but I'm actually just playing Diablo. You can see, I don't know if anybody can notice, above the left-hand corner of the controller, that's my dog Chewbacca. Going with the theme. Chewie is my co-pilot. But I love just kind of kicking back. I'm grinding Grim Favors. I'm grinding for, whatever I need to unlock the next thing in my build, particular achievement or what have you, and I can just do that for hours and hours. Sorry, I'm hearing a ding, ding, ding. Is that an alarm someplace? Okay, I'll pretend like it ignores it. Maybe it's in my own head. It's Diablo. This is totally on theme. But that's okay. And then finally, I travel a lot. I'm in the road all of the time, but I can take a controller, I can connect it to my Samsung Galaxy Tab and continue my gameplay experience. So if you think about all of these things, I'm consistently playing this game across multiple devices, and this is exactly what I'm doing today. When I'm exhausted at the end of the evening tonight and I just want to chillax, I'm going to go and I'm going to be like, oh, it's time to play Diablo. I find that relaxing. I hope all of you do too. But like, even when I think about my experience with Indiana Jones or Avowed, any of these games that support this type of gameplay, these experiences are today. I can play them all the way through. I can take my gameplay with me, and it's really, really exciting, in particular because it just absolutely delivers on what we talked about before, which is our mission of bringing the joy and community of gaming to every single person on the planet. I don't know how many times I could say this, but I'll keep saying it over and over again. And maybe everybody should repeat it. Don't worry, we're not going to do like a call and response, although that would be cool. I think you all would do it, wouldn't you? Yeah? And everybody want to read the slide together? No? No? Okay. I tried. I thought it would be cool. Be like, come on, really? I think we could do it. I'll just do it. We want you to be able to, and if anybody wants to jump in, feel free. Play the games that you want with the people that you want. Anywhere you want. See, it worked. Not everybody, but we're starting to vibe. It's good stuff here. It's awesome that this vision is coming to life. And to that extent, it's actually been a pretty busy year at Xbox. So, we did our hardware refresh. That was exciting. Always new ways to play, new devices to play on. We've been making a lot of improvements to the Xbox PC app. We've seen things like compact mode, making things a lot more efficient, making it easier for people to be able to discover their content, etc. The list goes on and on. We've extended our partnerships with Samsung, Fire TV, MetaQuest, LG. We've announced that. We'll be extending our partnership to get more endpoints where you can realize this vision. It can come to life. LG stuff is coming out in April. We launched an initiative called Stream Your Own Game. And we also have just this week talked about Xbox Play Anywhere, where you can actually have now, there's over 1,000 games that are enabled with Xbox Play Anywhere. And for those of you who don't know, these are games that have cross-play and cross-progression between PC and console. And so now we have over 1,000 games that are inside of this program. And, it's just this great opportunity to experience more content. And so if you're an XPA game, you can take your progression with you. Again, remember that Diablo experience that I was talking about? If I'm switching from one place to another, how awesome is it that I can bring these things with me and really continue to enjoy it? I think a big part of that is what we call Stream Your Own Game. And Stream Your Own Game is an initiative that we launched, I think it was just about 3 months ago or so, maybe 2-3 months ago, where this allows Game Pass Ultimate subscribers to buy and then stream games that aren't in the Game Pass catalog. And so this is exciting for a couple of different reasons, but one of them, I think we launched with just 50 titles. I think we're adding titles all of the time. We probably have almost 100 titles that are available today. But this gives game developers the opportunity to get their games into cloud and get them to reach out to many audiences. Again, it's across PC, mobile, smart TVs. This initiative is in over 28 different markets. Some examples here: UK, Brazil, the United States, Argentina, Mexico, etc. And maybe what's most exciting is that we've seen a notable number of players in just the first 60 days that have bought and played exclusively via cloud. And so this is net new game sales for everybody who's trying to get your game in front of somebody. And I think in the industry that we're in, especially in the time that we're in, the more opportunities we can give to players to discover great games and play them in as many places as possible, but then also to all of the game developers in this room to take that amazing content that you've built and put it into more people's hands, so give you more opportunities for game sales, it's a really, really, really good thing. So we think that XPA combined with Stream Your Own Game is really part of making every single screen an Xbox. But instead of me trying to describe it to you, we love our videos. We've had a lot of them. Here's Stream Your Own Game. So when you start putting all of these things together and you think about more games to play, more places to play those games, more opportunities to find and discover great content, that's the opportunity that we're trying to create in this what I consider to be an amazing evolution, of Xbox, and really changing people's minds about what does it mean to have these incredible experiences in as many places as possible. So we're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Here's Chris to take us home.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, so let's talk about getting to those billion open doors, and why you want to do it. So first of all is more places to reach more players, and I hit this before, and I think reaching new players is important for two reasons. One, obviously, this is a monetary opportunity, but two is really just the opportunity to bring the joy of gaming to more people everywhere, and to people who maybe don't have the latest devices. I think really firmly, and probably there's not going to be a lot of disagreement from the room, games are the greatest form of entertainment on the planet. Games, even when we're pointing fingers at each other, games bring us together. We have some of the most formatively positive experiences with other human beings have come through video games. And being able to bring that to new people all around the world, I think is just intrinsically good. Second, making games is expensive, and maximizing development efficiency, being able to have one build go multiple places and hit multiple people is, I think, also intrinsically good for us, especially in the environment that we're in today. And lastly, for players, delivering a seamless Xbox experience, regardless of where they are, we think is great, and just continues those promises to our players. None of what we do with XPA, you couldn't roll your own. You can figure out how to entitle things on multiple platforms and things like that. And, you can figure out how to do a cross-save, across different platforms and networks. And it's awesome. I strongly encourage people to do it. But we make it easy to do with Xbox, and that makes Xbox a great place for our players. That makes them happy. Happy players stay and spend and enjoy, and that's, I think, one of the most important things. And so I think we'll end our prepared remarks now, but we're happy to take any questions folks have just about whether it's the mechanics of XPA. I'm going to be leading a dev roundtable tomorrow with some folks from Supergiant and a couple other studios, Rebellion, just to talk about some of best practices for multi-screen game design, and specifically if you're doing an XPA game. But if anybody's got any questions now, Leo and I are happy to take them and talk about anything. There is a microphone there if anybody wants to.
Or if people just want to repeat. Oh, wait, is it on?
It is. I heard you. Huh? Okay. Well, we'll also be hanging out a little bit afterwards if folks want to come ask us anything specific, show us your game, talk about good places to skateboard in San Francisco. I don't know, whatever you want to talk about. So thanks a lot. We really appreciate everybody coming, and have a great GDC, and thanks again.